Hey computer, how's it going? What's that? I told you, no means no. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Horror Movie Syllabus. My name is Professor Victor, and I'll be your host as we go through all of the essential, noteworthy, interesting, and notorious modern horror films. If you're new to the channel, I recommend you check out the introduction video. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, and it'll give you a pretty good understanding of what the horror movie syllabus usually does, which is take a look at a particular subgenre of horror and then pick 3 movies from that subgenre to explore. But this is our Is It Syllabus-Worthy series, where I take a horror movie recommendation from you guys, something that you left in the comments to one of my previous videos, and I watch it for the first time and let you know what I think. Today's recommendation is Demon Seed, and it comes from John Massier, or possibly John Massier. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Hopefully I got it right with one of those two guesses. But John, thank you very much, because John brought up the movie Demon Seed in our technology video, which gives me a little bit of a clue that it's about technology in some way. And he also left this little nugget for me, which is that he felt that this movie was a, quote, good candidate for a contemporary remake. So that's what I had to go on going into this movie. I didn't look up anything else about this movie before I decided to watch it for the channel. And I watched it, and did I love it? Did I hate it? Well, let's find out. So the movie that we're talking about today is Demon Seed. Demon Seed came out in 1977, and the title is a little bit misleading because it sounds like it's going to have something to do with a demon. It's going to sound like something supernatural or, occultish, some sort of religious demon, some sort of demonology type thing. And it's got nothing to do with any of that. It really is a movie about technology, first and foremost, front and center. John putting it in the technology video makes perfect sense to me. Now, if you haven't seen it, like I hadn't seen it, the movie is about a scientist who has created a really advanced AI, artificial intelligence, that is being fed all of humanity's information and frankly becoming a little self-aware, as AI tends to do. And it winds up deciding to imprison the wife of the scientist in their technologically advanced home and try to convince her to bear its child so that it can have a human computer hybrid child, the next advancement in evolution. And hijinks abound, man. It is a absolutely absurd premise off the bat. It really is kind of a ridiculous premise, but it's rooted in some really interesting factual scientific stuff. Now, it's worth noting that it was directed by a man named Donald Campbell off of a script based on a book by Dean Koontz. Dean Koontz, the poor man, Stephen King, which Dean Koontz fans are going to come at me for that one, but come on. Dean Koontz never really got the recognition that Stephen King got, but he is a solid writer who's done some really good work. And he's written a story here that seems to be eerily prescient, at least based on the movie. I have not actually read the book, although I'd be curious to check this out because the movie version, at least, really is nailing this technology down. Now, I have to remind you, this is 1977. So it's a dated movie. It looks dated, the styles are dated, the technology looks dated, but what it's actually doing, what it's showing you in the future, 1977, 40 some odd years ago, is actually happening now, and it is wild. They have not only successfully predicted like the power of an AI, of an artificial intelligence, but they've also come up with, the Ring camera and Alexa and smart homes in general and deep fakes. They have deep fakes going on in this movie. They don't call them deep fakes, obviously. They don't say it's Alexa. In fact, the house is named something different, but the woman living at the house has the ability to tell the house to turn on the lights or turn off the music or whatever, and addressing it by name. I think it's like Alfred or something like that. And it's Alexa, man. It's Alexa, and you go up to the doorbell and you can see the little video and people can talk to you through the video, and the video can be faked. It's wild. I was watching this movie and I was blown away by how correct they got the technology. I don't know if Koontz or the screenwriter had talked to some like scientists to see what was kind of in the pipeline, to see what was being expected to be coming up, or if they just got really, really lucky and really just nailed stuff that wound up happening, or if like this is one of the movies that inspired people to kind of explore creating this kind of technology. I don't really know, but I'd be interested in finding out because it's really an interesting aspect of this movie that I absolutely loved. I'll be honest with you, the movie started out a little bit slow for me, but when I started seeing the technology and what it was able to do and able to connect it to what we currently use without even thinking about it, A, it excited me because I was just really impressed. And B, it added a layer to the movie because, again, 1977, it looks dated and it's, again, a campy, silly premise, but because of this rooted technology, you start going, well, how ridiculous is it? Because we have this stuff in our house now. We have our AI going on. We have our Alexa. We have, we have the deep fakes and everything like that. So how much of a reach is this story? How much of a reach is it? Because we are all, the AI very, very prominent right now in the news. And people are a little nervous about it, how it's going to put them out of jobs, how it's going to become self-aware. Skynet, we all know about Terminator and everything like that. We even talked about it here on the channel. But this movie comes out many years before that. And it's really right on top of something that is particularly noteworthy today with all the AI advances we're seeing right now, with how fast technology is moving right now. It makes this movie hit probably better now than it did in 1977. When I read the reviews of it, I think that's true. It wasn't exactly a very well-reviewed movie because, again, it's a ridiculous premise, but it's taking itself kind of seriously. For better or for worse, it's playing it pretty straight. And I'll be honest, it might have been better to lean into the ridiculous camp aspect of this because, again, you've got the premise of a computer, an AI computer, wanting to impregnate a woman to have his child, have its child. It's absolutely ridiculous. And there's other kinds of silly things going on in the movie too. Like there's a scene where there's a wheelchair with a robotic arm on it that does a lot of the actual physical stuff for the AI, and then like you defeat it by tipping the wheelchair over and it can't get back up again. Or like at one point, like the woman throws her breakfast at the camera and the eggs cover the lens, and it's like, clean off my lenses because it can't see. This is hilarious stuff, and it's really hard to take it seriously when these moments happen. And I kind of think that maybe the movie should have leaned into that a little bit more and just really played up these camp aspects because it is absolutely ridiculous. But instead it decides to kind of play it mostly straight. And it's an interesting choice, but it's not necessarily a bad choice. And the main reason why is because of actress Julie Christie, who plays the female lead. She plays the wife of the scientist, the woman who is trapped in the house, and potentially going to be impregnated. And she is a great actor, and she's doing a really good job. Everybody in the movie is doing a good job, but she's doing the heavy lifting because she had to play off against machines and try to not laugh out loud. Frankly, she is basically doing something ridiculous as this AI computer tries to intimidate her and then cajole her into allowing herself to be impregnated. It's as stupid as it sounds, but we're buying into it because she takes it very, very seriously. She validates this movie. She gives it a gravitas that it frankly does not deserve. We believe in this ridiculous plight that she has, that she's been trapped in this smart house. She can't get out because the computer won't let her out, and it's threatening people who try to come and visit her by using deepfakes and stuff like that. It's a ridiculous premise, but because she's giving such a really good performance, you kind of roll with it as serious, even though it's stupid. It's dumb, but you buy into it because Julie Christie is doing the hard work. She is making you buy into this. It's a really impressive performance, and it's one that's a little, not a little, it's a lot uncomfortable. Like, basically you got this, computer trying to assault her essentially, and the movie is tasteful enough to kind of cut away and not really show the really gruesome aspects of this and not get really B-movie and exploitative. But part of me still thinks it might have been better to do it, to really go over the top and silly. I'm thinking like, Jack Frost with Shannon Elizabeth or something like that. Just get really stupid with it. But it didn't do that. It went serious, and, God bless Julie Christie for giving it her all. And I think she does a really admirable job of it. Now, there are wildly different reports about whether or not this hurt her career. Some things I read said that this damaged her career. People really kind of didn't take her seriously after this. And other reports I read that kind of said that she was kind of choosing to get a little more selective about her roles anyways. And it was really kind of, she kind of took a step back. Either way, this wasn't a good move for her career, frankly. You know, doing some of the other work that she had done on things like Dr. Zhivago, or the movie that we talked about previously, Don't Look Now, where she's absolutely fantastic in that movie as well. Like, she is a really exceptional actress, better than this movie deserved, frankly. But it did make the movie, the seriousness of the movie, play better than I would have thought it would have. And again, maybe it shouldn't have, but if they're going to go that way, at least get Julie Christie in there to make it work. Don't get somebody terrible, because I'm rolling with this movie, even though it's laughably stupid in concept. In execution, it's working for me. It's working for me pretty well. But is it working well enough to make the syllabus? Let's find out. So, is Demon Seed syllabus worthy? Maybe, yeah, maybe. I'll be honest with you. John nailed it by putting it in the technology comments, in the comments of the technology video, because that's really absolutely where it would go. And the technology subgenre is not as competitive as some of the other ones, so it's a little easier to get in there. But this movie is technology for sure. That's where it should be, because again, the fact that it's probably more relevant now than it was then makes it incredibly noteworthy to me. The way that they've nailed this technology, where the way they've got the smart home, and that the smart home becomes the threat. It's the way that Julie Christie's character is trapped in the movie is fascinating to me. It really rings better now. Again, harder to take it seriously in 1977 than it is to take it seriously now, because what would happen if your home decided to try to lock you in or disobey you, as we get more and more dependent on these things. If your self-driving car decided it was going to kill you, what would be the case if these things malfunction? How dependent we are on them? What do we do? The situation Julie Christie finds herself in starts seeming less ludicrous once that happens, once you start taking into consideration the technology that we have now and how dependent we are on it. So I think it's more relevant now. That said, John is 100% right. This movie is ripe for a remake. It is dated, like the styles of the movie, the cool technologically advanced car that the scientist drives looks just really cheesy now. Like, it really has a cheese factor because of the datedness of it, that you could make this movie now, like a remake of it, and make it bona fide scary. Like, you could really do something cool with AI and with all the stuff that people are. I mean, we've seen kind of some stanzas before, like the Child's Play remakes, stuff like that, and it hasn't been so great. But I do think the bones are there to make something really gruesome here. To have this situation where somebody gets trapped in their own smart house by an AI that wants to artificially inseminate them, which is a totally different kind of AI. But it's still a ridiculous concept, but you could make it creepy. You could make it work. And like I said, this movie, the premise was kind of silly and it started off a little slow, but it really drew me in. Again, I'll credit Julie Christie for a lot of this, and partly also just the technology being so on point. It really sucked me in, that I wound up having a really, really good time with the movie. I was shocked that I liked this movie as much as I did. Now, again, the title, very misleading, kind of stupid, and I was expecting something completely different when I heard the title. But then, get past that. It doesn't matter, because this is a fun ride. I wish it was more of a romp. I wish it was more silly, and really just played up that ridiculousness of it. But honestly, the ending alone is good enough to make up for that, because the ending does really lean into the ridiculousness of it. But for the most part, playing it straight, but it worked for me. It worked for me really, really well. I would definitely recommend this to people, and I would definitely consider it for the horror movie syllabus. It's really an interesting movie, and if they make a remake, I'm there for it for sure. Me and John, we sit next to each other in the theater checking this one out, because it really deserves a remake. He's absolutely right about that. So, Demon Seed, dumb title, fun movie, good movie, not a great movie. Again, I'm going to manage expectations, but definitely worth your time. And now it's time for Horror Trivia Pursuit Card. As usual, I'm going to read a question here live on camera and try to answer it. But let's see. Let's go with the psychological category, because Demon Seed has a definitely psychological torture aspect to it, with Julie Christie being imprisoned and tormented by this computer. So let's go psychological. Here's the question: what feature does the baby in 1968's Rosemary's Baby share with his biological father? And I'm loving And I swear to you, I just pick these cards out. I don't vet the questions ahead of time. I just grab the card that's in the box and read on camera. But I love that this is talking about Rosemary's Baby, because this movie, we didn't talk about this in the review, but this movie is clearly like a technology-based Rosemary's Baby. In fact, that's probably why Demon Seed is being used as the title, is to evoke Rosemary's Baby thoughts, even though it's like almost a decade later. It's clearly trying to be like a robot or computer based Rosemary's Baby. So it's hilarious that this is the question that we get asked. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question. I'm going to let you guys have a chance to think about it. But if you've seen Rosemary's Baby, it's a classic movie. We talked about it. It's one of the few movies in the syllabus that was pre 1970s that we had to talk about because it's so important and so good that we needed to talk about it. And this is a classic line from the movie. It's one of the most iconic scenes of the movie when they talk about this. So even if you haven't seen the movie, you might know the answer if you just think about what you've seen clips or something from Rosemary's Baby. If you know anything about this movie, you might know the answer to this question. So that's kind of my hint to you. And I've kind of given you a bit of enough time to think about it. But my answer, of course, is going to be his eyes. The baby has his father's eyes, the creepy eyes, apparently, demon eyes or whatever, devil eyes. So let's see what the card has to say. The card says, his eyes. The child has demonic eyes. It literally says his eyes dash. The child has demonic eyes. It literally spells it out for you. So yeah, I got that one right. And yeah, like the whole thing, at the end of the movie when she's freaking out about seeing the baby and seeing his eyes and what's wrong with its eyes. It's a great scene. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Let me know if you got it right. If you didn't get it right, what did you guess? Did you say tail? Did you say tail? Because that would be awesome if you said tail. But so that's going to do it for our video. Thank you again very much to John for the suggestion, because I had a great time with it and would recommend you guys check it out too. It's just a wild thing to see all this technology being displayed in 1977, how silly it looks and how prescient it is. Absolutely fantastic. So thanks very much, John. And thank you guys for hanging out to the end with me. I appreciate that. Keep these recommendations coming because I'm really enjoying this series and watching movies I've never seen before. You guys have been giving great suggestions, and this is one of the particularly good ones. So thanks again to all of you. And until next week when we do something completely different, class dismissed.